At this time, we'll return from executive session. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this point, I would like to have a nomination to appoint the President Pro Temp. Can I have a nomination?
Yes, I would nominate Jared.
I'll second that.
I'll second that.
Okay. Mr. Isgro?
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mrs. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson? At this time, I'll take a nomination for Board of Education President.
I will nominate Meg Baker. I second
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mrs. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
that. Yes.
Mr. Isgro?
Yes.
Floor is yours, Madam
Okay,
President.
thank you. I would like to have a nomination for Board Vice President, please.
I'd like to nominate Pastor Shack, please.
I'll second that.
Sprague?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Isgro?
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We need to establish the 2023 meeting dates for the school year. Section 33.13.15 of the Ohio Revised Code requires the Board of Education to determine a time for holding its regular meetings. The regular meetings shall be held at least once every 2 months. Commencing on January 1st, 2023, the Hamilton City School District's Board of Education regular meetings shall be held on the dates and times provided to each individual in attendance. All information is available on the district website and the board docs agenda. All regular meetings are scheduled to take place at 533 Dayton Street, Hamilton, Ohio, unless otherwise noted. The president may change the meeting's time and place by notifying the treasurer, who shall immediately post the change and inform the media. Special meetings may be called by the president, treasurer, or any two Board of Education members by serving a signed written notice of the time, location, and purpose of the special meeting at least 2 days before such meeting in compliance with Section 3313.16 of the Ohio Revised Code. Most business meetings during open session are live streamed by TV Hamilton. I need a motion to establish the meeting dates has been presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Dave. Second,
I'll second that.
Lauren, any discussion? Frazier?
Mrs. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Isgro?
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Next, we need a nomination for the Board of Education member to City Planning Commission.
I'll make that nomination for Mr. Davidson.
Thank
I'll
you.
second that motion.
Thank you. Any discussion? Mr. Frazier?
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Isgro?
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mrs. Baker?
Yes. We need to, in accordance with the Board of Education policies and past practice, we do need to make it establish member compensation. In the past, we have served without compensation for the 2023 calendar year. I need a motion as such.
I'll make that motion, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Isgro. Second.
Second.
Mr. Davidson, thank you. Any discussion?
I would like to say that over the years that I've been on this board, and I think Dave, even before me, when he served previously, this board has never taken a compensation that I know of. We are entitled to, what, $120 a meeting or something like that?
To 150.
Up to 150. And that is something that we've always foregone, and I think we should continue that.
Thank you, Mr. Isgro. Any other discussion? Mr. Frazier?
Mr. Isgro?
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mrs. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Next on the organizational meeting agenda is establishing a service fund for Board of Education members. It's recommended the board establish a service fund beginning July 1st, 2023 for $20,000 for the fiscal year 2024 to provide the Board of Education members expenses according to Section 3313.15 of the Ohio Revised Code. I need a motion, please.
I so move.
Thank you, Mr. Sprague. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Davidson. Any discussion?
Jeremy, could you explain what that fund is, in case the public would want to know?
Absolutely. So basically what it is, it's a set aside for dollars for the board. It's basically what we tell the public that we are setting aside for you to, if you incur any expenses in your duties as a board member, and that there will be no more than that. It's kind of a gesture to the public is what it is.
Went to Capitol Conference.
Correct. They would be paid out of those funds, absolutely.
And I don't think that we've ever,
We haven't touched that for a number of years.
ever come close to it. So,
Any other questions, discussion? Thank you. Mr. Frazier?
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mrs. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Isgro?
yes,
Next item, approving consultant agreement, the Ohio State Board of Education Legal Assistance Fund. Whereas the Hamilton City School District Board of Education wishes to support the efforts of other boards of education to obtain favorable judicial decisions, and whereas the Ohio School Board Association Legal Assistance Fund has been established for this purpose. Therefore, the board hereby resolves to enter into a consultant agreement with the OSBA Legal Assistance Fund for 2023 and directs the treasurer to pay the Legal Assistance Fund $250 for the annual consulting fee. I need a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr.
I'll
Davidson.
second that.
Thank you, Mr. Sprague. Any further discussion? Mr. Frazier?
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mrs. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Isgro?
yes,
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Next, we have the tax budget. We need a motion to approve the full year 2024 tax budget as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Isgro.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Davidson. Any discussion? Mr. Frazier, would you kind of give us some details on?
Yes.
Thank you.
The tax budget is it's a large document. It's something that we spend a whole lot of time on, and we use it once. So we have to legally pass it by January 15th. It has to be signed, and then it has to go to the auditor's office no later than January 20th. And what that document does, that document goes to the Budget Commission, which is made up of members from the auditor's office, the treasurer's office, and the prosecutor's office at the county level. And what they do is that document shows them that we need tax dollars to operate and helps them certify the millage that will be collected from the taxpayers in the coming years. So that's what that is.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Any questions? Okay, Mr. Frazier?
Mrs. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Isgro?
Yes,
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
At this point, we are done with our organizational meeting, and we are going to move into the business portion of our meeting. Okay. So, I need a motion for the approval of minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Sprague.
second,
Thank you, Mr. Davidson. Any discussion? Mr. Frazier?
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Isgro?
yes,
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mrs. Baker?
Yes. I'm not seeing anyone here from City Council, and I also don't believe we've got anybody for public participation. So, Mr. Holbrook.
Thank you, President Baker. I first want to take time to recognize Mr. Sprague for his 2 years of leadership as board president during two really trying years. And you know, I appreciate your leadership and the focus on kids. Mrs. Baker, Mrs. Matthews, welcome to your new leadership positions, and I look forward to working with you throughout the course of this year. January is School Board Appreciation Month, and the Hamilton City School District will join more than 600 school districts throughout Ohio to celebrate School Board Appreciation Month. The theme of this year's school board recognition is supporting success for all students. Our school board members are citizen servants who shoulder critical responsibilities and often make difficult choices for our district. And the Hamilton School Board of Education has always waived any compensation to do such. This is a true act of servant leadership. Serving as a link between the community and classroom, school board members are elected to establish the policies that provide the framework for the district. The Hamilton City School Board is responsible for an annual budget of over $100 million, nearly 9,000 students, and over 1,200 employees. It's more important than ever that communities support public education so that today's students are prepared to be productive citizens and leaders of tomorrow. Please take a moment when you get the opportunity to thank a board member for caring about our students and for giving so much to the Hamilton community. Let me be the first to say thank you to all 5 of you for those very things. It's a tireless job. It is servant leadership, but it is most critical that we have leaders in those positions in today's world. Thank you, all 5.
Thank you, Mr. Holbrook, and thank you for your leadership and your staff's leadership. And Mr. Sprague, thank you for your leadership as board president. And,
Come in, good luck.
well, thank you. And I will enjoy working with Mrs. Matthews and all the rest of the board. So, with that, I believe we have the consent agenda, and I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make the motion, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Isgro and Mrs. Matthews. Any discussion? Mr. Frazier?
Mr. Isgro,
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews,
Yes.
Mr. Sprague, Mrs. Baker,
Yes.
Mr. Davidson.
Yes.
Okay, I believe we don't have anything on the finance agenda.
That is correct.
Okay. Our next meeting will be Thursday, January 26th, 2023, beginning at 4 p.m. here at the board office. I need a motion to adjourn. Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
This meeting is adjourned.